There's a verse which starts with the words Verastich li leolam, Verastich li betzedek uvmishpat uvchesed uvachamim, Verastich li beemunah veyadat et Hashem. You will consecrate me forever. You will consecrate me with justice and righteousness and justice, with kindness and mercy. You will betroth me with faith, and I will know you will know God. This verse is recited by some men when they put on tefillin around their middle finger. For each one of the 3 turns, they say another part of this verse, which represents the betrothal of God to the Jewish people. So the Alter Rebbe has a beautiful mimer here. Hine Knesset Israel. There is a concept which is called Knesset Israel. Knesset Israel is not the Knesset, no. Knesset Israel is the gathering of the Jews. Sheimekor Kol Nishmat Israel, which is basically the level of Malchut, royalty, above, is the source of all the neshamot, all the source of all the Jewish souls. Nikret Kala. The Jewish people, the whole assembly of the Jewish people, all these souls are called the bride. Hashem HaPasuk. Where does the word Kala come from? Because it says, Nichsefa vegam kaleta nafshi. My soul is kalta. What does it mean, kalta? It's consumed, and it literally wants to get out of its physical limitation. כמו שכתוב, ואל אישך תשוקתך. As it says about Hava and Adam, one of the things that God said to Chava was, Ve'elishech teshukatech, you will desire, you will long for your man. Ki teshukata ledavka bimkora v'chaya hayim yitbarach bichlot hanefesh. So too the soul, which is called the bride, and God, which is called our man, the soul has a desire, a longing to go and to attach itself to its source, which is the source, the life of all life. Blessed be He. Bichlot hanefesh, in a way that it's ready to give up even on its own personal identity and lose itself completely. וכמו שכתוב אלוקים אל דומי לך, אל תחרש ואל תשקוט אל. As it says, God, do not stay silent. Do not be quiet. Meaning that the desire of the soul is a one which is a constant desire. You know, you have a child sometime that wants something. And the desire of the child is so powerful. It's so insisting. It does not let go. The child wants and wants and wants and wants again, and so on and so forth. That's really what's happening with our soul. Our neshama has that want, which is with this insisting, constantly insisting towards Hashem. It just wants to be attached to God. וכן, בפרטות נשמות כל אחד ואחד מישראל נקציב נר אלוקים, נשמת אדם. And as it says, on the individual level, every one of the souls is like a flame. As it says, the candle of God is a soul of man. שיש בטבעה לעלות למעלה כאור הנר. The nature of the soul is just, it wants to go up just like the flame wants to go up. כשהלהבת העולה מאליה, just like the flame goes up naturally. לדווקא בו יתברר בכלות הנפש ממש, even though the flame will be losing itself. Doesn't make sense. I just brought you into the world by lighting a candle. And now there's a flame, and the wick is holding you down, and now you can shine, and you can bring warmth, and you can bring light, and so on. And what do you want? No. I don't want this. I want to leave the wick. I want to be completely attached to my source and lose it. Lose myself. But what does it say about man, again, and Chava? He will dominate you. So too, God dominates the soul. You live against your will. And God therefore forces you, so to say, to be in a physical envelope called the body. And just like we've explained so many times already, that the angels have a movement of soaring towards Hashem and afterwards having to integrate and come down. What they saw above, they have to absorb it down here. So too, the neshama has the same movement. And the neshama as well is forced to come down and to experience not only what it means to be in your comfort zone, I'm near Hashem and it's all good, but actually to be in that physical body and bring it down here. So it should have meaning. Otherwise, it has no meaning. I mean, it's meaningful. It's so deeply meaningful that it doesn't translate itself in any of our reality. Now, and therefore, even after the soul has now been enclosed into a body, it is now the service of the soul, the service of man, once the soul came into the body, to awaken the soul that it should feel that same desire. When I read this, I had a problem. Because the main service is that you should awaken that desire. Says, what are you talking about? Isn't this natural for the soul? So, Rabbi of Parsha gave a mashal. He gave a parable which was repeated in the Biurim of Tanya of Rabbi Nachum Goldschmidt. He said the following: imagine for a second a person that has troubles, and he decides to leave his house to go out into the forest. And in the forest, as he gets lost in the forest, he hears this beautiful, amazing music. And the music is so sweet. It's so deep, so profound, so spiritual, so elevating, that it just lifts him up above all of his problems. And now, he wakes up the next morning, the music's not here anymore, he has to find his way back. He finds his way back home, but the closer he gets to home, the heavier his problems become. The greater difficulty, the more the difficulties come back. So, he finally arrives home, but he's in a state of depression. Everywhere he goes to the mall, he goes in the street, he goes to the market, he goes to work, comes back. Whatever he does, he is looking for that music. And one day, he goes into a Sony Superstar music, and over here he hears a stint of something, 15 seconds, which sounds just like, or the closest he's ever heard to that music that he heard in the forest. So he buys the CD. Now the CD is not music. Maybe people get insulted, but I want to say it's AC/DC or Pink Floyd or Kiss, one of these groups. I don't even know that one. It's okay, don't worry. So, and he buys it. And now, what does he do at the beginning? He plays song 3 He plays that 15 seconds, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind, play. Eventually he listens to the whole song. Eventually he gets used to the song. And look, it's interesting. That's music. And eventually he listens to the whole CD. Eventually he forgets, why did I buy this CD in the first place? He doesn't realize that it was this original drive that he had for that 15 seconds to really, not even for that 15 seconds, but to relive the experience he lived in the forest. That's his real drive. The same thing is with our neshama, with our soul. The soul, when it's attached to God, it's the greatest possible experience it can be. If you want to experience what being high is, just be a soul attached to God without having the limitations of a body. If you want to know what it means to be wealthy, wow. Be a soul attached to infinity and feel it. If you want to know what it means, kavod, honor, glory, feel regal, be that soul. And suddenly, all these feelings, what a descent. The Talmud of Chagiga says, Meigra Rama lebira mikta, from a high roof to a low pit. So I always say the example, you've heard me many times because I think the image is so powerful. You have a person that falls from the first floor to the ground floor, okay, it's terrible. From the 10th floor, wow. From the roof, oh, horrible. But from the roof, not even into the floor, but in a pit, in a low pit, wow, that's terrible. That's what happened to our neshama. So there is some reminiscence, something of what the soul experienced before. And that's why we have this drive. I've never met a Jew that's satisfied. Never. Why? Because wherever the Jew is, he wants more. He doesn't know what he wants. In many cases, you'll be at the head of the mafia, you'll be at the head of the drug dealers, you'll be at the head of the diamond dealers, you'll be wherever you are, there's a Jew behind somewhere that has a crazy desire for something. And he's going to be very good at it because he's going to give his whole like nobody else will. But what he really is looking for is his soul. Because he wants to experience that glory, that knowledge, that wealth, that honor, that highness, whatever it is, at the highest possible level. But he forgot why he bought the CD. So, our job, the Alter Rebbe says, is to be able to harness this desire and make it our reality. I think I once told you my boy when he was 10 years old. He was rolling on the floor. And, I'm bored. No. What was it? He said, no, I'm hungry. He started opening the fridges. Story of the fridges. You go home, you look at the fridge, and you close the fridge. You open the freezer, you look at the freezer, you close the freezer, and then 3 minutes later you look at, maybe something appeared. No, nothing appeared. No, nothing appeared. Right? It's like the story of the freezer. Baruch Hashem, today we have a TV, so if we get bored in front of the freezer, the TV at least gets it more, but it's boring. So we want something, so we eat while we watch TV. Like this, we feel something at the same time. Our senses are more. We're not just sitting like this. We're active. We're passive active. There's a group like this, the Living Dead. So, anyways, so the bottom line is that he was looking at the fridge. He said, I'm hungry. After he said, no, I'm not hungry. I'm bored. You're right. You're bored. So go sit and learn. Go read a book. To be able for us to consciously recognize that at the moment that we have a desire, to identify what is that desire. What is that desire? Where does it come from? This is a part of the avodah of Sefirat HaOmer, as we've explained before, where I look at the shoresh, I look at the source of things and see what is really motivating me, what is driving me at this moment. What is driving me to get upset, for example? What is driving me to eat? That's a tough one. Too difficult. Let's continue. So, this is our avodah, to be able to awaken in the soul. The soul is already awakened, but now it's been in prison. It's like, I'm going to give you another example. When I read this, the first example that came to my mind is what happened to me. I was in Manchester in yeshiva, and we were studying. And not only do we study, but we learned how to meditate. So we would meditate, study for an hour and a half Chassidut. And then we were a small group out of the 60 students that would pray for an hour and a half Shachit every morning by taking our time. And then on Shabbat, it was very special because we wake up at 7:30 when really it started later. And sometimes we'd pray till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We were about 4 or 5, 6 out of the whole yeshiva. And we were in this state where we didn't really care about food. I remember the greatest delicacy for me was gefilte fish with beets, salt, and mayonnaise. That was the top of the top. Sushi was not invented then. So, and like this, we'd pray the whole Shabbat. Afterwards, on Thursday nights, we would spend on Thursday night till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning for bringing, talking about how to refine ourselves a little more, expose ourselves, become vulnerable. And then at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when we'd be done, we'd say Shema. I think that would be another 45 minutes to say Shema and to introspect and to see how our week went, what we accomplished, what we're supposed to accomplish, what bad character trait we have to refine. And you would have one boy in one room, another boy in another room, one in the library, one in the kitchen, each one by himself, having this moment of connection. I still remember one young man, 20 years old, upstairs in the small synagogue, sobbing and crying while he was saying the Shema, preparing himself for Shabbat. And then after a whole Friday, you studied till 12, and then for 6 hours, you would go from house to house, influencing other people. And it was a life. This was like Gan Eden. This was incredible. Studying deep concept of Chassidut, thinking and speaking with the same like-minded people. That's their whole life. That they don't care about anything else. All the rest, the world is non-existent. And after, you come to Miami. This is what it means to come from a high roof to a low pit. This was a big shock. Suddenly, I had nobody to talk to. Right, 25 years ago, nobody to talk to. Praying for an hour. Oh, what is that? Thinking Chassidus before prayer. Where do you come from? Like help. So suddenly, this is what is happening to our neshama. We're sent here, and suddenly the neshama is in a state where it's just stuck. So the only thing that kept me going was these Farbrengens, these things that I remembered in my mind, these special moments of connection that still had a reshimo, some type of residue, some type of mark, emotionally, I was able to touch me. But this only came through meditation. Because without meditation, your mind looks at everything in a superficial way. Everything you do is superficial. I mean, in the sense that you're not fully there, fully involved. And therefore, you don't have something to hold on to. Here, at least I had something to hold on to. But I had nobody that was interested in sharing it with me. People looked at me like I'm from Mars. So this is how the neshama feels in our bodies. And therefore, we have to rekindle. So how do we rekindle? Through meditation. You contemplate on the greatness of Hashem. At the moment of prayer, you tap into that infinity, to that, and then the neshama, again, oh wow, I remember that music. Yes, this is the music. Oh, whoa, the sound of music. והנה, יש שני בחינות בעניין כלות הנפש. וזהו העניין של שני בחינות קלה שהוזכרו בגמרא. There are two types of ways that the soul longs and wants to leave its limitations. Just like it says, there are two types of brides, because the word kala, to long and to want to leave the body. And the word kala, which means bride, there are two types of brides. As it says in Maseret Ketubot, ketzad meragdim lifnei hakala. How do you praise the bride? So, let's see. Kala achat, היינו כלה נאה וחסודה. ועל זה נאמר, קלת נפשי לחצרות השם. One bride is beautiful and she is graceful. There's a mark. And there's a machloket, there's a discussion, there's a dispute between, let's just give you a little background. In Maseret Ketubot, in the second chapter, it says like this. Machloket, discussion between Shammai and Hillel. Hillel says, how do you praise the bride at her wedding? Say, Kala na v'chasuda. She's beautiful and graceful. Shammai answers back, Midvar sheker tichak. You're not allowed to lie. It says not only you're not allowed to lie, you have to stay at the polar opposite of anything that's close to a lie. And maybe she's not beautiful and gracious. Kala kamot shehi. The way she is, that's the way you say it. Okay. So Hillel answers back Shammai and says, somebody that takes a car from the marketplace, Yeshapchena be'enav or Yeganena be'enav? The one that sells him the car. He says, boy, this is a great car you got. Or will he tell him, such an ugly color, enjoy it. What is he going to say? Of course he's going to praise the car to the person that bought it. At the end, Shammai will agree. Why will he agree? Because for this individual, it's the most beautiful bride that exists. For somebody else, it's not his bride. But for that person, it's the most beautiful bride. So what are you talking about? How could you say something which is going to be derogatory? So we have two kalot. We have two types of brides. We have the bride the way she is, and you have the beautiful and gracious bride. One level is, the beautiful and gracious bride is, Kal tanav shirechatzerot Hashem. This is the bride, meaning the soul that wants to long and wants to soar towards the yards, the courtyards of God. Vasheni, and the second type of kala, kala k'mot shehi, the kala the way she is, afilu chigeret, or suma, even if she has a limp, or even if she is blind. On this kala it says, my heart and my flesh will sing to the living God. Now we're going to go in Sefer Yetzirah. It's going to get a little complicated. And now to explain. Kine otziot. And now we're going to explain the letters. It's going to be a two-part class. Ha'otiyot, the letters are called avanim, are called stones. Vetzirufehem nikriu batim. And when you associate letters together, you create from stones houses, homes. Vachatzerot, and courtyards. כמו שכתוב בספר יצירה, as it says in ספר יצירה, שתי אותיות בונים שתי בתים. שלוש אותיות בונים שש בתים. לפי שהאותיות, אותיות הדיבור, שבאדם נחשבות לבחינן דומם לקבל מהות השכל. He says basically the letters, two letters are able to create two homes. What are the two homes? Aleph, Bet, for example, can do two words. One home, which is one word, the word Av, father, and the word Ba or Bo, coming. Two homes. Three letters, three combinations, three homes. So basically, what that means for us is that at the moment that we speak the words of Torah and words of prayer and so on and so forth, we are Jew the builder. We are building worlds, universes. So, the otiyot hadibur, the letters are just like stones. Why are they called stones? Because they have really no life and no meaning to themselves as stones. Once you create words, at that moment you imbue them, you infuse them with meaning, and you start building something out of it. והנה ריבוי התחלקות העולמות לאין מספר, לכמה מיני רבבות מדרגות חלוקות זו מזו, כמו שכתוב העולמות אין מספר, וכן מלאכים ונשמות הצדיקים שאין חבת ומידות של זה דומה לזה, כולם הם נמשכים נשפעים מבחינת צירופי אותיות דבר השם. All the different universes and all the different levels of the different worlds and the angels and the souls, which each one individually is not like the other, they all are a derivative and come into existence through letters and combinations of letters. Through which God creates them from nothing to something. שהם בחינת דומם לגבי מהות מקור חוצבה שבעולם האצילות. These letters are lifeless in comparison to their source of life, which is in the world of emanation. Meaning that it's true, these letters are the channels for us to exist and for the world to exist. And today, it's very simple. If I look at this cup, this cup is what? In Hebrew, the word cup is kos. Kos is three letters. Chaf, Vav, Samech. This association of three letters brings about the reality of this into this existence. I'm going to give you an example that's brought down on the commentaries of Shara Yichud. Imagine that at the present moment, I am now giving this class. I'm speaking through this microphone. My voice, which is only one voice, is being translated into an audio wave. And at the same time, what is being seen is being translated into an image. It could be translated and transcribed into so many different ways. Somebody could take the words and actually write them down. If I had a voice recognition system, it would be typing at this moment the words. If I had a translating system, It would be translating the words at this moment. So let's take this at a deeper level. There are different dimensions, different layers of existence. When God speaks and brings the world into existence, Achat diber Elokim, shetayim zu shamati. God speaks one word, but I hear two. All the 10 words of creation are really said as one, but they separate themselves into 10. But they are the life force and life source of everything. Which means that when you and I, I'll just talk for myself, maybe you know, but I don't. When I look at a computer screen, or I look at my Android application, or you look at your iPhone application, for me, it's just, what do I need it for? I need this, I need to put my notes, I need to put this calculation. Whatever I need it for, that's what I use it for. But for the person that made the app, for the person that made the website, it's an infinity of calculations of 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 3, 3, 0, 6, 7, and a 7, 3, 6, whatever. There's a whole code which lies behind it. And it's possible that in the process of creating the code which is translated to us as an image, that person made a mistake and was looking for the mistake and finally found that it wasn't supposed to be a 7, it was supposed to be an 8. Like the other code in the other application. So for him, that 7 and that 8 make a real major difference between an app that works and one that's just not good. So what we're saying is that it's true. Codes, letters are letters. They seem to be useless, meaningless, but really, it's through them that God creates our reality. And today, more than ever, we are able to understand that in our sichel, in our human intellect, because we see how technology works. So, והנה גם מקורן ושורשם בעולם האצילות. די וגם הוא אחד שהם בחינת אלוקות ואור אינסוף ברוך הוא מופשט מכל בחינת גדר ומידה וגבול. עם כל זה, מאחר שהם מקור לבחינת העולמות שנמשך מהם מטה, יש שם למעלה בכוח כל כך כוחות והמשכות שהתאווה מהם בחינת התחלקות העולם בפועל ממש, כמשל אותיות הדיבור בעודם בכוח חוכמתו. But even these letters, they have a source. Just like the letters of speech that I'm speaking now has their source in my brain, somewhere. But even there, in the brain, you might say, oh, this is the purest source possible. So we'll say no, because even there, the letters of speech which are in my brain, they're there with the intention to be spoken. Therefore, they're not fully one with their source. Just finishing this chapter. ולגבי אינסוף ברוך הוא עצמו הסובב כל עלמין, גם הם נקראים מבחינת אותיות. And for God, even though for us, these letters are somewhat spiritual because they're not the words of speech, but they're the words that are in the brain. But for God, these letters, which are going to be the source of an eventual creation, are in existence. They're a creation as well. Now we understand the difference between creation and creator. Creation is limited. Creator is infinite. Creation is emanation. Creator is essence. So, גם הם נקראים בחינת אותיות שהם בחינת דומם כאבנים שהם במדרגה תחתונה שבעשייה, כמו שכתוב כולם בחוכמה עשית, שאפילו בחינת ומדרגה חוכמה נשבת לבחינת עשייה בגשמיות אצלו יתברך. Even the level of wisdom before God is like a physical action. מה שנקרא בחינת אלוקות, היינו שהם בחינת אלוקות, שהם בחינת אין סוף ברוך הוא שמצטמצם ונגבל בבחינת כלי, אבל אינם בערך אין סוף ברוך הוא בעצמו בכבודו ממש. What we just said. רק הערה וזיו, this is just what we have that comes out of the mind, right, is only a shine of the light of God. So when we have the letters, even the letters of thought that God taught to create the world, these letters as well are only an emanation of God. They're not the essence of God. Just like the ray of the sun compared to the sun itself. It's only a ray. Now for us, a ray is tremendous. You can't look at the ray of the sun. You can't feel it on your skin too close, you might get burned. But for the sun, it's absolutely nothing. Just like the speech of man compared to his thought. It's nothing. Nevertheless, there's a shine of his brain in his speech. And here he says a sentence which is extraordinary. He says, look, we have something which seems essential, which is our brain, our intellect. A shine of this intellect shines through our speech. Our speech now becomes the intellect of another. I repeat, essence, shine through the mouth. Now, the mouth, the moment you speak something, I'm speaking something right now, now this is becoming your intellect. So that afterwards, this will translate itself into a new reality, which is going to be your speech, which is going to be the intellect of somebody else, and so on and so forth. This is the transmission of things from one level to the other. Nevertheless, there is the essence of what I have inside of me, which is higher than this intellect and higher than that speech, and therefore higher than what I communicated to you. The same thing with the whole global universe. How do you look at the universe? Do you look at it as a static, independent, stuck reality? Or you say, 1 second, no. This is just the ray of Hashem's wisdom, which really comes into his speech, which really comes from the letters, which really comes from the letters of his thought, which these letters of his thought compared to his essence is nothing. So suddenly, a lot of times you can En od milvado. There's no one but Hashem. There's no one but Hashem. There's no one but Hashem. Okay, but look, I just got a bill from the bank, and I need to go pick up my kids at 3 o'clock because I'm going to be late. How do you translate that reality that there's nothing but God in the world? This can only happen once you start thinking in these terms. You look at the first layer and you realize that layer is not the ultimate layer. There's something above. And then there's a source of that. And that source compared to its source, wow. And compared to its source, till you realize at that moment, yes, there's nothing but God. It's easier right now if I told you just to think about the ray of the sun. I don't know. I'm sorry for my ignorance. I don't know exactly what the distance is between the sun and the earth. But one thing I can tell you is that the distance is enormous. It's incredible. It's more than we could ever imagine. Certainly further than the moon, because we've reached the moon and there's no way we're reaching the sun. Not alive anyways. So, once you realize that however far the sun is, the ray of the sun coming down still has such an impact on the earth. They're talking about the eclipse that happened, that it's caused waves in the cosmic system, that the whole earth and the whole thing has been taken out of balance. Forget the global warming nonsense, which is the biggest joke one of the biggest jokes since humanity with the weather there is. I was just in New York last week. I did it yesterday, and everywhere in this period of the year. But you realize at that moment that ray of the sun is powerful, but that's only for us. Once you brace yourself and you say, 1 second, if I was in the sun, does that ray, is it an effort the sun is making in order to shine its ray? Or is the sun just the sun and the ray comes out of the sun and therefore it's naturally nullified before the sun? How is it? Now think that it's true that the sun is there and we are here. What happens, imagine if at the essence of this piece of wood, at the essence of this mic, at the essence of my finger, at the essence of my nose, at the essence of everything that you see, there is a power which is just like the power of the sun, which is the life force. And everything else emanates from that ray. For that life force, it's nothing. For us, it appears as something. Try to do this exercise. I'd like to conclude with a 2-minute meditation where we're going to just repeat this in our minds. Take a deep breath. As you take a deep breath, close your eyes. And imagine what you are made of. You're made of bone, flesh, and skin. The whole structure of your body is being held by your bones, your bone mass. Try to connect to this whole skeleton which actually holds up your body by the grace of God. Focus on your arms, only on your arms as you breathe deeply, and feel how the muscles, your flesh, is attached to this bone mass. At the tip of your fingers, your phalanges, your wrist, your forearm, your shoulder, and see how on top of each one of these muscles and these functions you have skin. Between the skin and the muscle you have the fascia, which holds the muscles tight. Imagine the vitality there is that goes through your muscles, that's inside your bone, in the bone marrow. What holds your bones, what holds your muscle mass, what holds the skin together. And as external as the skin is, it's only there because it's covering the muscle, which is only there because it's holding on to the bones. And that bone mass and every movement that you're able to do is because God gives the energy, brings into existence your arms, your bone mass, makes that energy flow through the flesh, through the muscles, brings from nothing to something every second, that skin. So basically your arms, as physical as they are the abode, they are the extension of God's will. So at this moment that you fulfill God's will, you're able to bring the presence of Hashem. And the moment you put that coin in tzedakah, you put that penny, that dime, that dollar, put it in tzedakah, your arm is associated to the will of God, which is above the whole creation of the whole universe, higher than all the constellations, higher than anything else. You can associate your life force, which God gives you in your arms, to something which is the will of God and become literally a merkava, a chariot for God's will. The same way you can become a chariot for God's will, everything around you, the food you eat, the actions you do, the parts of body you use, can actually be elevated and reconnected in a conscious way. It's always connected, but really connected, and draw down the presence of Hashem in a way that every part of you becomes slowly but surely, you become conscious how it is an abode and a channel for God's will. And how everything that you see in the world, at its core essence, is completely nullified, just like the ray of the sun is nullified to the sun. Everything is nullified before its life force, and everything around you is godly energy. It is in your hands to translate and to reveal this godly energy and to use it in a proper, elevated way. The breath that you're breathing is godly energy. The way you're looking at things reveals the godly energy. Change of mind, change of perception, revelation of energy. You can open your eyes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.